Have you ever walked through your home, looked around, and everything seemed in order? The bed is made, the kitchen is spotless, the floor is swept, and yet, something still feels off. Not dirty exactly, but not fresh either. It is like the air carries a weight you cannot see, a faint smell you cannot place, a feeling that something is not quite right. And here is the truth. You are not imagining it. Because behind that tidy surface, there are small places, quiet places, corners we pass by every day without noticing, places that collect dust, trap odors, and affect how our entire home feels, not just how it looks. In this episode, we are going to uncover 10 forgotten places that quietly steal your home's comfort. They are not always visible, but once you know where to look and how to care for them, you will notice a difference that goes far beyond appearances. This is not just about cleaning. This is about breathing easier, feeling lighter, creating a home that truly welcomes you every single day. Let us begin. Number 1. Entry mats and door handles. Let us begin with something simple, something we see every day but rarely think twice about: the entry mat and the door handle. These two are the very first things you touch when you come home, and often the last things you think to clean. And yet, they are among the most important. Picture this. You step through your front door. Maybe you have been to the grocery store, maybe just the mailbox. Your shoes carry dust, pollen, tiny bits of city grime, even bacteria from sidewalks and public spaces. It all ends up on that mat. Over time, if you do not shake it out or clean it, the dirt builds up. The mat begins to hold on to moisture and odors. Before long, that welcome mat is not so welcoming. Now think about your door handles. How many times do you touch them every day? 5? 10? Maybe more. But how often do you clean them? Most people forget entirely. And yet, your hands carry oil, dust, even germs. Every touch leaves a trace. One woman told me her hallway always smelled stale. She tried candles and air sprays, but the smell only faded when she washed the mat and wiped down the door handle. That simple act made all the difference. So, once a week, give your mat a shake. Vacuum it. Rinse it monthly if it is washable. Wipe door handles with a soft cloth and a gentle disinfectant. It takes just minutes. But it says something powerful. This home is cared for. This home is loved. Number 2. Bathroom drains and toothbrush holders. The bathroom is a place where we go to get clean. But sometimes it is the part of the house that holds on to the most unseen grime. 2 spots in particular often go unnoticed: the drain beneath your feet and the holder where your toothbrush rests. Let us start with the drain. Whether it is in the shower or beneath the sink, the drain is where water flows away. But it also collects everything we rinse off: hair, soap scum, dead skin, shampoo residue, and oils from our bodies. Over time, all of that can turn into a sticky, smelly buildup. You may notice the water draining slower than usual. Or worse, you might catch a musty odor that seems to come from nowhere. Now look at the toothbrush holder. We brush our teeth every day, maybe even twice a day. But the place we put the toothbrush afterward? That often goes ignored. Moisture from wet brushes, soap splashes, even tiny particles in the air can settle inside the holder. And because it stays damp, it becomes the perfect place for mold, mildew, and bacteria to grow. One grandmother shared with me that her new toothbrush started to smell bad just a few days after she opened it. She finally checked the bottom of the holder and found a dark, sticky film. She had never cleaned it. Once she started washing it weekly, the smell disappeared, and so did her worry about mouth irritation. Here is what to do. For the drain, pull out any visible hair once a week. Then pour in boiling water, followed by half a cup of baking soda and a full cup of white vinegar. Let it sit, then rinse again with hot water. For the toothbrush holder, scrub it with soap and hot water weekly. Let it dry completely before placing brushes back. These 2 small steps help your bathroom feel truly clean, above and below the surface. Number 3, remote controls and light switches. Now let us talk about something you probably touched today without even thinking: the remote control or the light switch. These small, everyday items are some of the most frequently used objects in the home, yet they are also among the least cleaned. Start with the remote. Whether it is for the television, the fan, or a streaming device, we hold it every day. Sometimes while eating, sometimes while coughing, often while resting after being out in public. Over time, the oils from our fingers, crumbs from snacks, and even germs from colds and flu settle into every button and edge. Then there are the light switches. We flip them on and off as we move from room to room. From the moment we wake up until we go to bed, our hands travel across those switches more than we realize. But when was the last time you wiped one clean? One woman told me her grandson sneezed every morning, no matter the season. She thought it was just allergies. Then she began wiping down the light switch and doorknob in his room every week. Within days, the sneezing stopped. That was the only thing she changed. Here is what you can do. Once a week, remove the batteries from your remote for safety. Use a soft cloth slightly dampened with rubbing alcohol. Wipe the buttons, the edges, and especially the sides where fingers often grip. For small crevices, a cotton swab dipped in alcohol works wonders. For light switches, use a lightly damp cloth and a gentle disinfectant. Be careful not to let liquid seep into the switch itself. These may seem like tiny steps, but they protect your home in big ways. They also send a subtle but powerful message. I care about the space where we live, and I care about the people who live in it. Number 4, baseboards. Now, let us take a moment to look down, not at the floor, but just above it. Along every wall in your home, there is a small strip of wood or trim. That is your baseboard. And while it may seem like a simple detail, it has a bigger impact on the feel of your home than you might think. Most of us sweep or vacuum the floor regularly. Maybe we even mop. But the baseboards, they often get skipped because they are not at eye level. Over time, they collect a fine layer of dust, pet hair, crumbs, and in some cases, even grease from the kitchen or moisture from the bathroom. And here's the thing. Every time you walk by, that dust gets stirred up into the air again. You may not see it, but your body feels it, especially if you have allergies or breathing issues. One woman told me she always worked hard to keep a clean house, but something still felt off. The air seemed heavy, and her living room never smelled quite right. Then, just before the holidays, she decided to wipe down all her baseboards. What she found shocked her. Sticky grime near the kitchen, dark dust in the corners of the hallway, even signs of mold in the bathroom. After that deep clean, the air felt lighter, and her home finally felt fresh again. Here is what you can do. Every few weeks, run a vacuum along the baseboards using a soft brush attachment. Then, take a damp cloth with a mild cleaning solution, just water, and a little dish soap works fine, and gently wipe them down. For wooden baseboards, use a cleaner that is safe for wood. Focus on corners, under windows, and around doorways where buildup is most common. Clean baseboards may not be something guests notice right away, but you will feel the difference in the air you breathe and the peace you carry in your own space. Number 5, lamps and lampshades. Let us talk about light. Not just the light that helps us see, but the kind that makes a room feel warm, mine and alive. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you cleaned your lamps or lampshades? Most of us dust shelves or wipe down tables, but the lamp sitting quietly in the corner? It often goes unnoticed, and over time, it gathers a fine layer of dust on the shade, on the bulb, even around the base. That dust may seem harmless, but it dulls the glow. It changes the way the light feels, and for those who suffer from allergies or breathing issues, it can even make the air feel heavier. One older gentleman told me he thought his reading lamp was simply getting old. The light had faded, and he figured it was just time to replace the bulb. But one day, he took a closer look and saw the lampshade was covered in dust. After just a few minutes of gentle cleaning, the lamp shined like new. The room felt brighter, and so did he. Here is what you can do. Every 2 weeks, take a few minutes to gently clean your lamps. For fabric shades, use a lint roller, a microfiber cloth, or even a soft brush to lift away the dust. If you prefer, you can also use a slightly damp cloth, but be careful not to soak the fabric. For glass or plastic lamps, a mix of warm water and mild dish soap works well. Be sure to dry them thoroughly to avoid spots. And always unplug or turn off any electric lamp before cleaning to be safe. It may seem like a small detail, but when your lamp is clean, your space glows in a way that is hard to describe. It feels clearer, more welcoming, and most of all, it feels like home. Number 6, cabinet handles. Now let us step into one of the busiest places in your home, the kitchen. It is where meals are made, memories are shared, and hands are always moving. But there is one part of the kitchen we almost never clean, the cabinet handles. Think about how often you reach for them to grab a spice jar, a pot, a plate. Now think about what your hands might have just touched. Raw meat, oil, flour, or maybe a sticky dish towel. Then, without thinking, you open a cabinet, and you do it again and again. Over time, those small touches leave behind something invisible but very real. A layer of grease, food residue, and dust. It builds up slowly, so slowly you may not even see it. But one day, you might notice the wood around the handles has darkened, or the handle itself feels tacky. One viewer told me her white cabinets had taken on a yellowish tone. She thought they were just aging. But when she began wiping the handles weekly, the original color came back. She was shocked. It was not age, it was buildup. Here is what you can do. Once a week, take a clean, damp cloth with a little dish soap or white vinegar. Wipe down each handle, especially the ones you use most often, like the cabinet near the stove or the drawer where you keep your utensils. For handles with grooves or textured surfaces, an old toothbrush works perfectly to scrub those small spaces. And if you have many cabinets, break the task in half. Do one side this week, the other next week. Cleaning cabinet handles does more than just make your kitchen look fresh. It makes it feel cleaner, calmer, and more cared for. Because in the heart of your home, even the smallest gesture of care makes a lasting difference. Number 7, refrigerator handles. Let us stay in the kitchen for a moment and focus on something we all touch multiple times a day, the refrigerator handle. It is easy to overlook because it blends into our daily rhythm. We open the fridge to grab milk, leftovers, or a snack. We close it without a second thought. But over time, those little touches add up. Think about it. You might be handling raw chicken, wiping down a messy counter, or grabbing food with slightly greasy hands. Then, without washing, you reach for the fridge handle. Slowly, almost invisibly, a layer of residue builds. Grease, food particles, bacteria, even sticky fingerprints. And if your fridge is stainless steel, it might start to look dull or smudged, making your whole kitchen feel just a bit less fresh. One woman shared with me that she was thinking about replacing her refrigerator. She thought it had just gotten old, but one afternoon, she gave the handles a deep clean and was stunned. The shine came back. The dullness was not from age. It was from months of built-up grime. Here is what you can do. Twice a week, take a microfiber cloth and dampen it with a bit of white vinegar and mild dish soap. Wipe down the refrigerator handles carefully. For stainless steel surfaces, make sure you use a cleaner that is safe for metal, and dry the surface afterward to prevent water spots. For tough buildup, a soft, bristled toothbrush can help get into grooves and edges. And do not forget the area around the handle, especially near the rubber seal. Dirt tends to gather there too. When your refrigerator handles are clean, your kitchen feels brighter and more cared for. And more importantly, it reduces the risk of spreading bacteria, especially around the place where you store your food. Clean handles may seem small, but they are one of the quiet foundations of a healthy home. Number 8. Window tracks and sliding door rails. Now let us take a look at a part of the home that rarely gets any attention, yet plays a quiet role in the way your space feels. Window tracks and sliding door rails. These are the narrow grooves at the bottom of your windows and glass doors, where the panels slide open and shut. Most people never think to clean them, but over time, they can become one of the dirtiest places in your home. Think about it. Your windows are open to the outside world. Breeze flows in, carrying dust, pollen, bits of leaves, even tiny insects. All of that settles into the tracks. Add in pet hair, moisture, and daily wear, and before long, you have a packed line of grime that is almost invisible until you look closely. You might not see it, but you may feel it. The air feels a little heavier. The window does not glide as easily, or there is a faint, musty smell every time you open it. One man told me he had lived in his house for over a decade and had never cleaned the window tracks. When he finally did, he found a dark line of sticky buildup and even mold. After cleaning them out, the air in the room felt fresher, and his allergies improved noticeably. Here is what to do. Use a dry brush, like an old toothbrush, to loosen the dirt. Then, vacuum it up with a narrow nozzle. Next, wrap a cloth around a butter knife, dip it in a mix of vinegar and water, and slide it through the track. For tight corners, use a cotton swab. Clean your tracks every 1 or 2 months. It only takes a little effort, but it makes a big difference in how your home feels. Clear tracks let light and air in more freely. And sometimes, it is the places we forget that hold the most potential to lift the energy of a room. Number 9. Toothbrush holders. Let us go back to the bathroom for a moment, not to clean the mirror or the sink, but to look at something even smaller. It is something you use every single day, often more than once, and yet you probably have not cleaned it in weeks, maybe even months. I am talking about the toothbrush holder. It is easy to overlook. It just sits there, quietly holding your toothbrush, doing its job. But over time, it becomes one of the dirtiest items in the entire bathroom. Why? Because it is constantly exposed to moisture. After you brush your teeth, you rinse your toothbrush, maybe give it a quick shake, and then drop it right back into the holder while it is still damp. Add in a little soap splatter from the sink, maybe a bit of dust, and even particles from the toilet if it is nearby, and suddenly that little container becomes a breeding ground for bacteria, mold, and mildew. And the worst part? Most of the dirt is at the bottom, hidden, out of view. So unless you actually look inside, you may never realize just how much grime has built up. One grandmother told me she bought a brand new toothbrush, used it for 2 days, and noticed a strange smell every time she brushed. She assumed it was the brush itself, until she looked inside the holder and saw a layer of brownish slime at the bottom. She had never thought to clean it. After scrubbing it thoroughly and starting a weekly habit of washing it, the smell disappeared, and so did her concerns about mouth irritation. Here is what I suggest. Once a week, take just 5 minutes to clean your toothbrush holder. If it is made of plastic or ceramic, rinse it with hot water and mild dish soap. Use a small brush. An old toothbrush works well to scrub the bottom and sides. If you see any black spots or signs of mold, soak the holder in a solution of warm water and a splash of bleach for 10 to 15 minutes. After soaking, rinse it well and let it dry completely before placing your toothbrush back inside. If your holder has a lid or built-in sections, be sure to clean those too. Bacteria can hide in the tiniest spaces. Also, try to let your toothbrush dry before storing it. If you keep multiple brushes in the same holder, make sure the bristles do not touch. This helps reduce the spread of bacteria between brushes. Remember, your toothbrush is something you put in your mouth. It should be clean, and so should the place it rests. When your toothbrush holder is clean, your morning and evening routine feels fresher, safer, and just a little more peaceful. Because even the smallest corner, when cared for, can make a big difference in how you start and end your day. Number 10. The emotional power of small things. Now that we have walked through all the quiet, forgotten corners of your home, the handles, the drains, the dusty rails, you might be feeling one of two things. Either a little overwhelmed by the list, or surprisingly calm. And I want to tell you something important. This is not really a list of chores. It is a gentle invitation to shift the way you see your home. So many of us grew up believing that cleaning was about perfection. A spotless kitchen, a shiny floor, the smell of bleach and lemon-scented polish. But the truth is, real comfort, true peace, does not come from what a room looks like. It comes from how it feels. You see, each of the small places we have talked about, the toothbrush holder, the fridge handle, the baseboards, are not just dirty spots. They are symbols. When we clean them, we are not just removing dust. We are offering attention. We are choosing to care about the parts of our space that no one else sees. And when we do that, something inside of us softens. One man shared with me that after his wife passed away, he struggled to keep up with the house. Not because he was lazy, but because everything felt pointless. The house stayed clean enough, but the warmth was gone. Then one day, he decided to start small. He wiped down the baseboards, cleaned the light switches, freshened the doormat, and slowly, room by room, it felt like life came back to the house, and to him. That is the power of attention. And that is the message I hope you carry with you after this video. You do not need to clean everything in one day. In fact, I hope you do not. Pick just one of these small spots. Maybe it is the one that surprised you the most, or the one you have never thought to clean before. Add it into your weekly rhythm. Make it part of your routine, not because you have to, but because it feels good to do something kind for your space and for yourself. A home does not need to be perfect to feel peaceful. It just needs care. Gentle, thoughtful, consistent care. And when you give your home that kind of attention, it gives something back. A sense of calm, of clarity, of comfort that stays with you long after the cleaning is done. Because in the end, it is not about spotless surfaces. It is about love, expressed through the smallest, quietest details. Now that we have walked through these 10 often forgotten places in the home, maybe you are seeing your space a little differently. Not as a list of chores waiting to be done, but as a collection of quiet corners, each with its own small story, its own hidden influence on how your home feels. Because the truth is, a home is not just walls and furniture. It is energy. It is memory. It is the feeling you get when you sit down at the end of the day and breathe a little deeper. And that feeling is shaped not by how things look, but by how they are cared for. You do not need to tackle everything at once. You are not behind. You are not late. Start small. Choose one of these spots. Maybe it is the one that surprised you. Maybe it is the one you have always meant to get to. Clean it not because it is on a checklist, but because it matters to you. Because doing something small with care always leads to something bigger. And remember, cleaning is not about perfection. It is about presence. It is about attention. When you care for these little places, You are creating more than a tidy home. You are creating peace. And peace is something you feel deep in your bones. If this video brought you even a little clarity or comfort, I invite you to subscribe to Thoughtful Elders Insight. We share thoughtful, practical advice to help you live with more calm and more intention, one gentle step at a time. And before you go, let me ask, which one of these small spots have you been overlooking? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear what you noticed and what you plan to start with this week.